we are glad to welcome Dr. Mandana Kuluduz Mohammadi, who is speaking to us from quite far away. I believe are you coming from Iran or from India today?
Iran. Actually, I am from Iran, but right now I am staying in India. That is the main thing.
All right, so today you are going to be speaking to us on environmental discourse in the Harry Potter series. So I will go away and you can take it away for us. Thank you. Welcome.
The first time that we had exposed to Harry Potter series was long ago when we started to learn actually English as a secondary language. In that time, actually, Harry Potter series were very famous in Iran, and we used to have some discussions regarding them. And once I just saw that you have this conference I was interested in, and I said that long back ago we had this series, and we even in Iran also they have been translated in Persian also, so our children they can read it. So that is why today I just decided to have some environmental discourse toward it. Actually, this work that I am just going to speak about it. It's we can say a case study, since as you know, in corpus studies, in corpus linguistic studies, we are working with large corporates, and this series are really actually having lots of information for us as linguists. So they are in need of the deep actually analyzing and going through line by line. So today only I am just presenting the gist of it, but I wish to actually broaden this if you are going to publish it, so we can just broaden the data analysis portion also. So today I am going to provide only a small portion of that. Well, as you know, and it is for Harry Potterian, we should mention that you know that these series are just standing as one of the most actually influential literary phenomena for the contemporary time. Beyond its just captivating narrative and coming to age themes, and the series of rich and actually ecological, magical, forest, mythical, and creatures, and also enchanted plants, as well as the complex human and non-human relationships, all weave into the imaginative actually texture in this world. Well, although as I just searched in the existing actually literature, there were two works that they have been conducted during the years 2022, and both of them they were actually 2022. One conducted by one Indian, and the other one was conducted by Kavita and also Sudkamishi. That they had some sort of ecological approaches also that I am going to discuss about it. But as I just searched, a little attention has been paid, and from that 2022 till now, actually, so you can just find maybe one article or two articles that they are just related to this actually area. On the other hand, it is very interesting that why we are in need of the ecolinguistics, since we can, through this, actually, the combination of the linguistics and ecological knowledge, we can just decode and we can reveal the discursive strategies that how, for instance, our authors or how our, for instance, we may mention how our writers, they have just encoded such a sort of discourse in their actually works. And it's also very important for us as a linguist, actually, when we are just analyzing them. Well, actually, Stepp is one of the pioneers of this ecolinguistics works, and he all the time, he has a website also, and he's just publishing lots of works. So this time I decided to select Stepp 2015, as he points out that the language is the major actually technology for shaping how people perceive and interact with the natural world. And our words, narratives, and also expressions and influence our sense making of the environment. So when we are just examining the language through the ecolinguistics lens, it allows us to uncover the actually implications that are behind the language, that are encoded inside that language, whether they are, what should I say, they are some discourse that they are just preserving, or they are just having to interacting, and etc. So such an analysis is going to enable us not to understand that how environmental issues are presented in the text, but also how language can judge in order to sustainable way. Actually, this thing that I am just mentioning, it needs actually more research, and in this research, I am not going to answer to that. According to a review of literature, that one of them was the Deep Ecology 2022, actually the core concept of the paper was that all life has inherent value and human must limit the dependence on the nature to the vital needs alone. Well, in the Harry Potter series also, as they have written in their actually papers, they are mentioning that there is actually consumption and resource exploitation in the magical and also muggle worlds. On the other hand, the eco-criticism article, that another article, they have also studied the relationship between literature and also physical environment, and used to analyze that how nature just have a duality and protective role, and is just portrayed in these series. Well, during this study, actually, I have just considered as a whole corpus. So in this corpus, I use the content actually analysis, and by searching the keyword in context, where there are some keywords in context that we are mostly using them in order to search throughout the text and etc. Since nowadays they are helping us to just go through the text deeply and just provide the frequencies and etc. that is just in linguistic. Well, we have just used content analysis to systematically investigate the relationship between the language and environment and the perception that are available. Well, I have just, the analysis is focusing on identifying and interpreting the key linguistic devices that they are just. Well, what do I mean by key linguistic features? Well, one of them is actually lexical choices that they have been made in this series. We're learning vocabulary, as those times also we were in need of the dictionaries to encode that what's going on, demonstrates a tension between viewing the nature as a source and viewing it as being with inherent actually value. Well, anthropocentric lexicon use of the human-centered words that treat the nature and magical creatures as the objects or traits. But for example, creatures are called just ingredients for just positions. Or sometimes in the forbidden forest, they are just forbidden forests are described as dark and dangerous ones, that which reflects the mindset of that control or fear and exploitation that is available. On the other hand, we are just having in this actually lexical choices, we are dealing with the ecological wisdom as well. So in this wisdom, we are just having the lexical use of the language that recognizes the value and also agency of the non-human beings and the environment as well. For instance, when we are just having the creatures that are called just sentient or intellect, or the places like just Weasley Garden or just Black Lake that are described as beautiful and alive, we are giving them an ecological wisdom. And this language just encourages the respect and appreciation for their nature. Actually, I wanted to give more examples, but in article, I'm just going to provide. Since data, according to the time span, I was thinking about that. Well, another thing regarding Yes, I mentioned about it. And another thing is that it's about, just 1 minute, sorry. Yeah, about metaphors. Actually, it just reminded me about the George Lakoff, the metaphors that we live by. Well, as you know, metaphors are just used abundantly in this series. That they are just from the source to target text that they are available. Well, Rollinghofer, the author just employs the metaphors that either objectifies or sometimes humanize the magical creatures, resulting in an intentional direction of the reader's relationship with them. Well, there is anthropocentric metaphoric that objections. For instance, magical beings are named or described by their function or the danger to humans, thus using the being as a force of the nature or object rather than as an atom. For instance, there was the boggart, which is defined by the creature's ability to take form just associated with the person's fear. Or these metaphors reduces the creature's actually existence to a singular human concept, making it cognitively manageable or diminish something as the degree of the complexity. Another metaphor category that we can just mention is ecological metaphor, that it is related to the humanization. For instance, characters like Hagrid are just constantly paired with the nature, or they are just effectively act as a green man, or so his own half, just giant nature, is the metaphor for the real meaning of the human and the other wild natures. So the metaphor of the wand made from the wood or magical core, choosing the wizard serves as a core structural metaphor, and this sets of the authority derived from the nature over human will, and serves that illustration for the deep ecology actually principle that is just already mentioned, and it is in line with the previous articles as well. Well, we are just having silencing also, silence discourse we are having, or we may mention that it is unspoken or unnamed. That it is actually in linguistics we are calling it silence discourse. That I had just made it under the category of the anthropocentric utility. The series often just avoids describing how just potion ingredients are called or leaves that are taken from to get them. Actually, for example, there is that unicorn death. Okay, the unicorn death is shown as a tragic. Ingredients like, for instance, powdered dragon or clay or beetle's eyes are sold in Digon Alley in the cold as a commercial way. So by leaving out any mention of the suffering or killing, so here we are not feeling that they are just killing those animals. We are just feeling that, okay, dragon powder, okay, this one is this material. So we are not feeling that sensation that, okay, these animals are being killed and they are just dried and their powder is made. So this actually has been erased. So this makes the language turn as the living actually being as a product. So living beings are just still as the products that they are just using, but silently, which is just normalizing the exploitation and also reflects that how animals are just treated as a sources in our daily lives. On the other hand, there is ecological resistance. For instance, by naming or classifying some magical creatures, like for instance Nephari's or Tetrals or for instance Hippogriffes, Rowling gives them a clear identity or present in the story. Using a specific descriptive name helps to acknowledge their existence and importance on the other hand. rather than ignoring and erasing them. So at one hand, we are just erasing the killing and also violations that are just against the animals. And on the other hand, we are just giving the naming and we are just considering as the animal beings actually. So this act of the naming creates the language that encourages the recognition and also respect for the ethical way of the relating to the non-human beings. Well, there is another approach that I have just categorized it. It's narrative position. Well, the placement of the nature and also magical creature within the plot just indicates their agency, their role in the ecological narrative. Well, regarding the, for instance, anthropocentric position, nature and non-human beings are treated as a secondary or as a tool for human use. For example, the forbidden forest, as we mentioned, is mostly known as a dangerous actually backdrop for just punishments and also separate events, not for the actually living ecosystem. Similarly, the creatures like, for instance, house or are just portrayed mainly as the servants who exist to help the human beings. So this kind of language and this storytelling actually reinforces the human dominance and also social hierarchies that are available, which human being is in need of someone, some creatures that they can just help them. On the other hand, we are having one ecological resistance that it is just active agent. Critical moments of the resistance often just features non-human beings as active, morally superior agents. For example, the loyalty of the Hedwig or an owl that you know, or just intervention of the folks that they are just phonics, are crucial and necessary for human survival. And the narrative positioning in these creatures as the actually savers reforms them from the tool to moral authorities, promoting ecological wisdom and which human must just rely and respect non-human life to prosper. This highlights the concept of nature as the safe haven or as the source of solution. Well, in conclusion, we can say that the ecolinguistics analysis confirms and goes further than previous actually ecological research. Actually, yet still we are in need of further researchers since it was a small actually case study that I have selected. Yet I am emphasizing on that since Harry Potterians, I know that long they have just put work on that. But these approaches also, as we are just as linguists, we are just interested in the narratives and also to text. So it can just prosper and it can further go beyond these articles also. By moving from thematic actually analysis to the language actually mechanics, this research has shown that the language that the author has just used both just constructs and also criticizes the prevailing just anthropocentric worldwide. Actually, in linguistics, we are having that duality that we are just believing that although again we have fuzzy section also in linguistics that we don't have that clear-cut dichotomy. Even during that dichotomy, we can have that overlapping also. But we mentioned that Olding just constructs human-centered language which just treats the creatures as the object with the language that gives them the moral importance, showing the nature as the powerful and also valuable actually object. On the other hand, and living being. On the other hand, the environmental depths that are and her words just reflect the real world issues like the ethical traits of the nature and showing that humans are just thrive only not repeating non-human lives. In conclusion, we may mention that Harry Potter is not just an environmental termed actually fantasy story, but linguistically eccentric, actually detailed text that uses the lexical framing, metaphors, structure, even silence narrative. So these series just utilizing these frameworks to just show off that narratives are in need of the necessary space for just endangering actually ecological awareness and cultivating a sustainable and coexistent future. Thank you so much for this.